Do One Thing Different by Bill O Hanlon. This is a book about solution-oriented therapy. It's actually the first book I've read on the subject of solution-oriented therapy, and it's kind of like a do-it-yourself toolbox for applying changes to your life to fix problems that you have. Now, solution-oriented therapy is all about not really worrying about the root cause of the problems or distresses or neuroses that you're having in your life. Instead of digging deeper to try and figure out the reason why certain things are happening in your life, solution-oriented therapy is all about just ignoring that and just trying to fix it directly. So just trying to change the behaviors and doing some actions to try and just either break problem patterns or find a new solution patterns. So this book is my first real introduction into solution-oriented therapy. Up until now, I'd always been reading about how to identify the root cause of problems that I might have in my life, like emotional problems. And I think the advantage of using solution-oriented therapy is that it's a lot faster. When you try and dig deep and let's say program your subconscious and do things like that, that will take a lot of time and effort. The author says that sometimes that's not necessary. The author, Bill O Hanlon, suggests that sometimes you don't need to do all of that work. Sometimes you just need to do a pattern interrupt, just change your actions or your behaviors, and that's enough to pull you out. So as an example of a solution-oriented therapy, let's take somebody who is depressed, and this person, let's say, has been in bed for a number of weeks, suffering from depression, doesn't really have the energy or the desire to get out of bed. The author says that one technique that you might want to use in this situation is to try and look for a period of time in that person's life where they were happy and they were content, and try and see the actions that they were taking during that period of time. Once you've discovered what they were, trying to slowly incorporate those actions back into this person's life. So for instance, let's say this person used to spend a lot of time with her friends when she was content and happy, but now doesn't speak to her friends. That person may want to try to socialize more and see if that helps bring her out of her depression. That's a very simple example of solution-oriented therapy. Obviously, it's oversimplified, but just to give you an idea of how this might work. Dr. Viktor Frankl actually used solution-oriented therapy on some of his patients that suffered from certain types of neuroses. And the name given to the solution-oriented therapy, or one of the techniques that he used, is called Paradoxical Intention. And so let's take somebody who suffers from anxiety attacks. Dr. Viktor Frankl would then ask them to try and trigger that anxiety attack deliberately, try and make it happen deliberately. And in many cases, kind of paradoxically, hence the name, they couldn't make it happen, they couldn't trigger an anxiety attack, and what's more, it prevented them from having an anxiety attack. So that's another example of solution-oriented therapy. So this book talks about all sorts of different areas of your life and how you can apply certain tools and techniques to improve it. So for instance, it talks about rewriting life stories. So if you have stories from the past where you've assumed the identity of, let's say, the ugly guy, or let's say you don't have any confidence, or you've assumed that something is impossible, or you have invalidation or non-accountability stories, all these can be fixed by using techniques that are outlined in this book. Now, the author does say, and it should be made clear, that not all the techniques will work for everybody. It's kind of subjective. But if you approach this with an open mind, and if you just kind of explore yourself with this book and use the techniques that are outlined in this book, you should find that some of it will stick, and it might help you get out of the problems that you're having. So the book also talks about solving relationship issues. So if you have problems in your relationship, you might want to try some of the techniques outlined here. Sex and communication as well, it talks about, and also about how you can bring a sense of unity and connectivity to your family. So all in all, this book I found very interesting. Like I said, it's my first experience with solution-oriented therapy. I would say if you're somebody who is interested in psychology, or if you have some areas of your life that you might want to improve, let's say you don't have much confidence in certain areas, or you're anxious in certain situations or in social situations. If you have any neuroses like this, then this might be a book that you can try. You can go into this with an open mind and use some of the techniques outlined here to see if this helps you bring yourself out of that problem that you're having, rather than spending, lots of money if you go and see a therapist, or lots of time if you try and dig deeper and get into the core of the issue. This might be something that will help you straight away. Overall, great book, and I'm going to continue, like I say, my research of solution-oriented therapy, because it's quite an interesting area for me. This video here that you're watching is all part of a self-development experiment that I'm doing right now in order to improve my reading retention, my presentation on video. I'll be reading 140 books, and then I'm going to do 140 video reviews. Probably going to take me a few years. If you're interested in this experiment and you want to see any more videos that I produce, just subscribe below, and I hope you find these videos useful. Thank you.